Hi, Rolling Green. Um, so this is my take on uh, my staff appreciation. This is something I want to do for you guys. If it's okay with Mrs. Manning, I'm going to check with her. But a lot of you know that I'm a chef, or I've been a chef, and I would like to do a couple of recipes for you. I'm going to do one tonight. I'll do one tomorrow night, and then I'll do one on Friday. Um, Tomorrow night, unfortunately, some people who don't like seafood won't be looking at, but tonight, I'm sure a lot of people would be interested in this one. I'm going to do something that a lot of you have tried before. It's called Pasta Bolognese, and I'll show you a couple things. I don't know what your culinary skills are and what you're comfortable with, but I just wanted to tell you guys that I miss you and that I wanted to do something, one of my talents that maybe you guys might want to try at home. So this is it. I'm going to show you what you need. So um, here's my kitchen. We have, this is pancetta. It's like an Italian bacon, if you guys don't know what it is. I got it at Publix. It's by the deli where they have all those fancy cheeses and the boar's head meats that are already prepackaged. I have 2 stalks of celery, 2 carrots, a small onion, some garlic, mascarpone cheese. I also found it right where I found the pancetta. And I have, this is ground pork and ground beef, ground chuck. You want the fattier meats. If you're not okay with pork, you can just use beef. That's fine. I have some peeled tomatoes. They're San Marzano tomatoes. I love those. They're a lot nicer than some of the other ones. Some heavy cream if I need it. I have extra tomato sauce if I need it, and this is you can use basically any kind of like a Pinot Noir or a Cabernet or red table wine if you like. I have Montepulciano. It's one of my favorite wines, so I'm going to use it because I like to drink it anyway. And I have just some red pepper. I'm going to get some fresh basil and fresh oregano from my garden. I'm going to use that. You don't have to use fresh oregano, but fresh basil would be good if you can get it. So, and then I think I showed you mascarpone. Yes, I did. And I showed you the heavy cream. Oh, and the pasta I'm going to use, I couldn't find orchette because like toilet paper, people think we're going to run out of pasta, so the orchette was gone. But I like the fresh pasta. This is from Alessi, and it's a rigatoni. Well, actually, it says penne, but they're more about the size of a rigatoni, so they're a little bit bigger. You want something that's going to hold on to the sauce. So that's the kind of pasta I like to use. My kids like. So the first thing they taught me in culinary school is to have your mise en place. Mise en place means everything in its place, and you can see I have my water boiling. This is salted water. It has probably needs a little bit more salt, but not too much. You don't want your pasta to come out salty already. You want your pasta to be flavored by your sauce. And then I'm going to use a saucepan to make my bolognese in. Got my pasta water ready. And then I'm going to show you a couple of things. I don't know, like I said, I don't know your culinary experience, but I'm going to show you a couple of little tricks with cutting vegetables. I'm starting with garlic. I don't know if you guys know this trick, but you smash it down and move it off to the side. I have to do this fast because YouTube will only take 15 minutes of my time. Use a little salt. Salt is a natural abrasive. So I sprinkle a little salt over the top. And then, first I chop it up a little bit. And then using the salt that's in it, you can kind of make it into a paste. If you take your knife, I'm using my 2 fingers and I'm using the tip of the knife and I'm just pushing down and scraping it forward. And I'll show you in a second, it turns into this nice paste. one more time. Okay, so this is ready, and you can see it comes out into a nice paste. It's pretty uniform. It's all chopped up and minced. So I'm going to put that off to the side. Use the back of my knife to scrape with. Carrots, cut them down. I want to make small pieces. So what you do is you make a base. You make it nice and flat on one side so it doesn't roll around on you. And then cut them into thin slices. Do this one. So the thing about what we're doing here is we're getting the vegetables ready. We're making what's called a ragu. And no, it's not the ragu you buy in a can, in a jar. This is a ragu is when you take vegetables. It's almost like the Puerto Rican or Spanish version of a sofrito. But a sofrito has other things in it like peppers and cilantro and sofrito goes back a long ways into Spain, and they didn't introduce tomatoes till, I don't know, like probably the 1700s. But the Italians call it something different. So I'm making these all into like matchsticks. They're kind of small, so you can see that. I might speed up some of these videos. And two more. All right, so that's the carrots. I had them all into little matchsticks. I'm going to line them all up, and then I'm going to cut them into small little pieces, just like this. So they look like that. Little bit. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing with the celery. Basically, just going to make little matchsticks. I don't want the leaves. Sometimes I use the leaves. I'll use the leaves in soups and stocks, but in the bolognese, I don't really need them. They have a different flavor. They're a little more bitter than the celery itself, but so I just push those off to the side. I don't need to peel the celery this time. If I was doing a crudité for some guests, I would peel it, and I can show you that some other time. But so same thing, I'm making little matchsticks, cutting them down into workable pieces, so they're only about that long. I use the tip of my knife to steer through the celery. Get them all lined up. Same thing. Just chop them into small pieces. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to do onion. And I don't know if you guys know this trick. I'm going to show it to you. Some of you may know it, but a quick way to dice onions. Ready? So here's your onion. I cut it in half, so there's two halves. I created a base once again. And the onion has lines on it going this way. So I'm going to, not cutting all the way through the onion. See, it's still intact. It's not falling apart. So I slice down it that way. I'm going to make one, maybe two slices through it this way. And then I slice through. And as you slice through, it dices it for you. You don't have to go back and chop it and chop it and chop it. Okay, so I went out and got my basil and my oregano. I just cut it in my garden, rinsed it off. And the quickest way I know how to do the basil is like this. You just take your fingers and you run it. You hold it at the top of the stem and just run down it. And yeah, you're going to get a couple of the leaf stems, but those are pretty tender. You don't have to worry about those. I just break off the top. You do the same thing with the oregano. So I've already gotten most of it done. With this sauce and with most of my tomato sauces, I like to add some in the beginning and then some at the end. With the oregano, you kind of want to make it into like a little ball, like this. and you want to kind of shred it. So it's kind of rolled up like this. I know it's bruising it, but it's going to get cooked and bruised again anyway. I give it a quick cut through like this. Oregano I dice up a little bit smaller. But I like to see it in there, and it gives it some really good flavor when you don't chop it up so small. Okay, so that's done. And the oregano, you don't have to be as gentle with the oregano. Okay, so I have my saucepan on the stove, and the first thing I'd like to do is I like to do the meat first, and I'm going to take a little olive oil. The pan's already hot. I have the burner on, and it's got a good temperature right now. So you always want to get the pan hot before you put whatever in to saute it or cook it. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my meat, and you're going to hear it sizzle. You can actually see when the oil gets to a nice. I do my meat first. Sometimes some recipes call for you doing the vegetables first and making the ragu first with the vegetables, but I like using the meat first because the meat gives off a lot of oils that the vegetables will absorb when you're cooking them. So meat goes in first. And this is about a pound of meat. It's a little bit over a pound. That's why I have extra sauce in case I need it to add to my meat. So you want to brown your meat first. Okay, so I've browned off the meat. I had browned it on a high temperature, and I continue to scrape up the bottom, and it seems pretty crunchy, but once you add reconstitute it with liquid, it's going to change its consistency. But I'll show you what it looks like, and you're going to see there's a lot of oils in there. Okay, I'm going to take the meat out right now, dump out some of the oil, leave some to saute the vegetables in. Okay, so I've dumped out my oil, some of the oil and separated the meat. My pan's on there. It's starting to smoke a little bit, so I'm actually going to pull it off a little bit so it doesn't burn. I'm going to add my garlic and my onions. So here's my garlic, my onions, celery, carrots. Maybe something better here. Okay, and I'm going to sweat that until the vegetables are a little bit translucent. I'll show you that in a minute.